Hey, it's Sunday, but we're here for you. Hi, guys. Welcome today at the races. Callie, Francois, along with Keith Fustel. Keith Fustel, you're back.
I'm
Happy to
back.
have you back. How'd you make out yesterday?
I didn't do any good yesterday. I can tell
No?
you that. I'm glad I didn't send any pics in. Yeah, I was up there calling the charts. I just, we couldn't put anything together. A lot of shorter prices as the day kind of went on.
There
And
were.
yeah, we started out with a couple prices. Total effort, $11 a horse that got bet down
Yes.
for deposit. Really ran big. The blinkers went on. That's been a good angle. But man, that horse was dead tenacious inside. Anath at 1480, and then just kind of things
Yep.
went a little bit light
They
for
did.
for the most part from there. But
I don't-
we'll regroup. We'll come
Yeah.
back at them today.
We'll see what we got. We'll see what we got for you. Let's take a look at the track really quick. Things are not really starting to heat up at all today, but decent day. 41, a little bit of wind. Not a fan of it. Glad to be back inside here.
Yeah, track I thought maybe a little bit sluggish, and you see right now, see how they're kind of scraping everything out to the right, like taking a little bit almost off of this race. It looks like to me, because I noticed a little bit of difference yesterday, I thought, in the surface when I looked at it. A little bit more powder. Maybe they added some stuff with that cold preventing because we had
Right.
the really cold temperatures, a little bit of snow and everything like that. Outside was okay. You could kind of come from anywhere yesterday, it looked like, but we'll see what today's racetrack brings. But I thought it was, from a betting standpoint, this card, got a couple horses I like. Nothing I
Definitely.
love, but we're going to try to work things together and
That's one of these
get
days
us
that we
going.
get prices. So here's hoping. Race
Okay.
number 1 starts with the early pick 5, of course, that industry low takeout starts. Of course, in this maiden claiming 45, going 6 furlongs on the dirt for the straight. 3-year-old scratch in the 1 step ahead. Keith, let's go ahead and take a look at disputed claim. That first
Okay.
time asking for Kieran McGee gets Carlos Lopez again today. And let's check out this break.
Yeah, wasn't a
Popping
good one.
up.
Yeah, a little bit of a lunge. I called it out at the break, and Kieran, he's not really a first time out trainer. Even second, his best is claiming. I mean, we've seen it, but he's on occasion will get some of these horses ready to rock and roll, and they'll perform and they'll move up. This one, I like the breeding on it by Golden Lad out of Weeper. This horse is a half to a very quick horse in Cry No More. And you
Okay.
saw that speed show up after the slow break. The jock kind of hustled into contention, was caught 3 and 4 wide. And I thought Disputed Claim, held quite well despite the early adversity. Just a little bit of a fade here late. Pride of Peyton, just a little too good here today. But I'll give this another shot. In a wide open, I think, opener, the experience is going to help. A little cleaner break and the shortening up to 6 furlongs. Just searching for a little bit of a price shot in here. You're going to go parking this as well as the firsters. We got a couple in here that look like they're working forwardly for capable barns.
Yes, and I mean, talking about the breeding quick on Parkness, because that was the first thing that popped into that just stood out to me. This one is a half to Burks, which ran well enough first time up, but second time out got the win, and then of course won an allowance back at Pimlico. Has just kind of been knocking on the door. Has been frankly off form in the past couple of races, but when he was here in the summer fall, he was a 1-2 watch. So hopefully Parkerness is going to be showing that as well, and nice work leading up to this from Parks itself.
Yeah, Burke's a 4-time winner, topped it in 81, had speed. Some kind of workouts that are intermittent. You've got some breaks there in the work pattern that's a little concerning. You've got a horse that is a Maryland bred. It could have probably been, could have been protected in here, I would assume. They didn't, but with Ness, anything kind of goes with that barn, right?
Right.
He loves to play the mental games. It looks like when they spot these horses, he really gets you thinking. So I'll use Parkerness into it, obviously, with Angel Cruz. Star Street, the 2-horse, another firster. By Munnings, very potent first-time out stallion,
Yes.
right? Munnings at about 15%. Mare was good. Walk of Stars. I remember that horse won at Timonium by like 30. That was crazy. That horse was so far in front. They were at the Ferris
make a
wheel.
whole lap on him?
She was at the wire. It was just crazy that day. This horse is a half to Hollywood Walk. Decent, capable running allowance races. I think topped at a 74. This is a barn not quite hitting at the rate that it was with the firsters when she kind of first got going a couple years ago. Obviously, the numbers are going to have to come down a little bit. She was hitting at an amazing rate. Now I think like 15% the last 6 months or so with the firsters. But certainly breeding suggests early to me.
Actually, first-time starters as of lately, she's still kind of kicking it a little bit. Keith, 15 for 72 on my book, so that's still at a healthy enough 21%. But I pick up what you're putting down. On top of
Yep.
that, still doing well with the first-time starters as a 3-year-old, 7 for 27, 3 seconds, 3/3 to add to that. So my only jip against Star Street is that now he is inheriting the rail with the scratch of the 1, so that does concern me a little bit. I had this one second in my picks anyway, just due to the breeding of Parker Ness. So going to run well, but still with that rail draw, not quite sure.
Yeah, I thought the opener is really, really tough. You've got a horse like Occasional Moon, half to a stakes place. Yeah, obviously, a horse ran in the juvenile, I think Breeders' Cup was placed in there. Freshened up, Trombetta. Third start angle is usually good for Mike. So lots of ways to go. I just think we've got a horse with a little bit of experience, faced that trouble in debut, didn't run terribly. I'll take a shot with some value because I think it's going to hold here. Early money showing up for the Brittany Russell runner. Let's go to race 2, Gal.
Yeah, speaking of early money, let's go ahead to your early pick 4 ticket. It's not so much of an El Cheapo today though, is it?
No, it's $21, and listen, everything hinges on Love is Strong. If we strike out with this one, come back and maybe we'll go for the pick 3 in races 3, 4, and 5. And I'll single the one that gets you started in race 2. Race 3, we're going to narrow it down to the 1 and the 8. We're only too deep there. Race 4, 1, 2, 4. We've got a couple bug riders to keep an eye on. We'll talk about them. Axel Concepcion, Louis Rivera, looking okay out there. And race 5, Spreaderama. I don't trust anybody in this race, hence we're going to go 7 deep, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. If you can hit the all button, go ahead and do it. Wouldn't surprise me. $21 for that early pick 4.
I don't disagree with you there in race number 5. I just went a bit of I didn't go as wide as you, but I don't blame you for going so wide because even just in my picks, I was scratching my head. So a $21 ticket to get things started in the early pick 4, where it starts with this claiming 5,000 for the fillies and mares 4 years old and upward, taking a turn. 2 turns around the Laurel Dirt, a mile and 16th. Keith, you have the number 1, of course, your single in this first leg to do or die with Love is Strong for with Miguel Vera and JD Acosta.
Yeah, I think she's going to work here today. That mile distance last time came out all right. You see the short comment I gave it, drafted back, angled 5 wide. Was just left with too much to do. I just thought it was an odd trip. Prior tries were good against a little bit better from what I thought. She draws the rail. She has positional speed, and she can stay the distance. She actually was trying through the stretch last time. So reunited with Acosta, got a third out of this runner a few races back. Acosta, Vera, over the last several years, overall 27% with an ROI of over 250. So I'll take that angle. Lots of question marks in here, some sketchy form. I think she'll be aggressively ridden early into that first turn to get position and finish against this group.
You also have the number 4 underneath. Congress Hall, who's my top selection for Brandon McFarland, gets Arnaldo Boca Chica. Was a win last time out at Charlestown. So comes from Charlestown to Laurel. Brandon McFarland, he doesn't have any really strong stats whatsoever, but with this filly kind of getting a slight break, coming back and showing she's now come into good form.
Don't go to the driving range with Brandon McFarland. Okay?
No?
Yeah, you better bring your binoculars. He can hit the ball a long way.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And Congress Hall here, I'll tell you, I like the improvement, second off the bench. This horse worked through a little inside path to get it done at Charleston. It's tough to come from 6 or 7 lengths out of it at Charleston. Got a little help that day. They went okay and got it done. But this horse has good races over this surface. I think she works. I think she can kind of sit somewhere just a couple lengths out of it. I don't think she needs to be super aggressively ridden, maybe draft down and get a stalking trip in here. But I think she's moving in the right direction, third off of a break.
There we go, and that's the angle that I saw as well. Keith Fusel, you also go number 3 underneath with Robinell for Chris Harding. Another one coming over from Charlestown gets Louis Batista. This time a win, 2 back at Charlestown in early December.
Yeah, capable. I think she'll be forward in here. Batista's kind of put her up there close to the pace in the past. She fits against this group. She'll try to kind of move into it. I think by the time they hit midway down through the backstretch, Beat You by Chubby Nose, I think her best option is going to maybe be to go from that outer post and try to clear off and then rate and control it.
I agree with that. Keith Fusel goes 1-4-3-6 there in the start of the early pick 4. Race number 3 is the second leg of that early pick 4 in this maiden claiming 30 effort, going 5.5 on the dirt for the straight 3-year-old fillies. You have the number 8 on the outside, on top, 6 the hard way for Robbie Bales. gets Dennis Arujo.
I think both efforts are good. Even last time might even been a little bit better than debut. She broke maybe not even a skosh slow, but she had to manipulate through some early traffic. She found a little seam going to the half-mile pole and then kind of dropped inside, went outside, and chased a really well-prepped firster in Ad Whistle. That one ran really, really good. So I think she ran hard. She got a good draw outside here. Mystic Seaport maybe a little bit quicker from her inside on this move up, but I think she can prompt and stay this 5.5. A perfect little distance for her.
Okay, I'll take it. And then in reverse, we go from outside to the inside in at aforementioned Mrs. Seaport for Brittany Russell. Toledo gets to the inside for the first time. Had the advantage that Six the Hard Way is going to have now. But with this one, she has enough gate speed within this field to be able to be okay being on the inside with this position. Midshipman 16% with his second-time starters.
7.8 is a tough distance to debut at. This one was dead game to the wire behind a Nest runner who did improve with the blinkers going on, Goldiness. Fifth place finisher, I think, came out of there to run a pretty good number out of there. Well, sorry, fourth place, the Voodoo Juju horse, right? Came back going longer, right? The Salomon horse. So it fits here. Good break into the race. I think these two are clearly the horses to beat, in my opinion, in race number 3. Robbie Bales, last 21 days, 2 for 5, 4 for 5 here at Laurel with a 588 ROI. 8-1-4-5. The 4 could benefit from debut out of that same race at 6 the hard way. I think this horse will be put into the race early. Anybody else you got? You got the 5. Sneaky. You put Voodoo Priestess in here. Interesting move. This is kind of a protect move, in my opinion.
I agree. Well, not so much a protect move because the horse is clearly in for a tag, but I always like a first time. I like one that has kind of a first time experience at a track like either Charlestown or Mountaineer and kind of essentially sees it as a little bit of a schooling race. So this one kind of got a little bit of the cobwebs out of the way, but this is, as you worded it, a bit sneaky for Hammy. We get the first time Lasix, 5 for 22 with that. We have Done Talking, who's 17% with his second time starters. Dam Sire Copeland is 19% with his second time starters as well. Has been here at Laurel Park for quite a while, ever since essentially running that race in November. So there's a chance we see a little bit of a different horse here in Voodoo Priestess.
Yeah, she was tough to line, took a little bit of play. Lynn's horses do out there. But, you're talking maiden special and Mountaineer. That kind of equates to 12-5.
Yes.
The claimer. So for in for 30, to me, that is a protect. A little bit of a turfy lean on the bottom side, but a horse I might kind of toss in those exactas. But like I say, clearly the 1 and the 8 to me are the horses. They're going to be shorter prices. Yep.
I understand what you mean with the protect move. Okay.
Yep.
Race number 4 kicks off the Rainbow Pick 6. We've got a carryover from yesterday that is about just a touch over 4,000. There we go. Just that, and that's definitely going to be hitting over 5,000. Clearly, once we get to race number 4, maybe possibly a little bit higher to maybe bring up the end of the weekend. Hopefully, scare away your Sunday scaries there with the Rainbow Pick 6. And of course, I've got a ticket. I tried to keep it as El Cheapo as I could. I almost went with a $60 ticket just to add another one to one of my singles. So I do have some risky singles in race number 7 and race number 5. But race number 4, Grand Manor Triple Tito's. Race at number 5, I don't go as wide as you, but I go pretty wide for pick 6. I go 5 wide in race number 5 and race number 6 as well. I go ahead and in that claiming 10,000, to me, especially at the claiming 10,000, especially going the 2 turns, especially with fillies, that can go in a lot of different directions. So, and as I mentioned, my first single in race number 7 is the 9 Dialer, and my nightcap with my other single is the number 7 Thunder. Boss Scratch is back here again today. And then in race number 8, I go 3 wide with the 2, 4, and 5 Steinbeck, which I'll have a video on, and then John the Bear and War Toxin to back it up. But getting back from my $30 ticket to this 4th race here today, and this is, as I scroll, a claiming 10,000, which I've never won to, going a mile and 16th on the dirt for the 4-year-olds and up. Let's take a look right away at both of our shared top selection. Grand Manor winning for Mikey Gorham and Carol Cedeno.
Grand Manor, he's just kind of got the look of a horse when you see him, that he's kind of a bigger, decent-sized horse.
Yes.
If you get him kind of in the clear and just relax and doing his own thing, he'll just kind of maybe go at an okay clip and just be able to carry it. and he's got it against this kind of field today. I think it's going to work. Had a little trouble into that turn we talked about in short comments, steadied early there on the equibase chart, but is able to kind of work outside and makes that steady run, a determined run for a barn that's kind of been lights out of late. So Mikey Gorham barn is very, very good, going great guns right now. Draws inside. Maybe Dejan will go ahead and send. But I think Grand Manor with a cleaner break, stalk and move into it, and kind of just grinds it out here in race number 4.
Well, and that's kind of the point of your replay is that he is this big, looming kind of Ophi type of horse. And then, so you would think that even that little check would affect him at all, but it didn't. It made him run. It maybe perhaps, honestly, perked his attention a little bit because he is one of those types that once he gets going, like you said, once he gets a bit on our front near the end, steady Eddie, he can. I feel like he's one that probably benefited a little bit mentally from that little bit of a shakeup. So hopefully he doesn't get into trouble this time, but I think maybe the light switch may have gone on for Grand Manor. You have the number 2, Bodie Lanks for Milan Milosevic. It's Justin Lewis today coming, and really it's the drop down for this one. We're coming off of a 40 and a 12.5, broke the maiden for 12.5. We're back at a reasonable level here.
Yeah, obviously he's a stayer here, I believe, and just a little bit of a reach from that maiden 10, which was really good and didn't run terrible for 32, dropped it back down. This is reality for him. This is kind of where he should be, in my opinion, off of that 3 back win. So, yeah, I think he can just kind of sit inside, don't try to do anything too soon, and maybe let this field come back to him a little bit and make that run. But I think he should be able to save every bit of ground. Got his love. Last time out, beaten favorite, well-beaten favorite, no fire whatsoever. We're going to try to get things going again with his bug, a 7-pound bug, Axel Concepcion. Maybe that's a change. I don't know. But this one is another one. Just doesn't have a big turn of foot.
Right.
And just kind of plods along for a share in here. But we talked about Concepcion. We've talked about Rivera. What are your opinions thus far of seeing some of these new apprentice riders?
And to be honest, they're great. They're great boys. Great attitudes from what I've seen, but honestly, I haven't seen enough. There was actually. I'm going to backtrack from that. Tim Tulloch and I had a conversation. I think it was about Louis Riviera. He had a horse going around 2 turns on the rail. He protected his rail. He was dueling with another horse, but he protected his rail spot going around there, and he was smart enough. He has a clock in his head. I do think he has a clock in his head. That being said, I need to see more, and I can't judge too much until I see any apprentice on the turf as well. So I'm happy for everybody's success, but I very much, with these apprentices, take a bit of a wait-and-see approach.
Seems like you're a harsh critic there, Callie.
Yes.
I'm telling you, you're tough. You're tough. But as a chart caller, I think they've looked all right. And the key is, like Bill said, he said, watching Rivera early in a couple of races, being able to kind of save ground. That's the first thing.
Yes.
If you're a rider, any rider,
especially here,
shortest way home. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you might go in a little bit of traffic, and you're going to deal with that, especially on the turf. We see horses kind of get bottled up. But save ground. That is the key of riding any races, and that's what I want to see from any of my riders. I don't want to see 4 wide the first turn.
Exactly. I mean, unless you're on a horse that kind of needs that kind of trip, and you have to be doing your homework, of course. But at the top of a stretch here in Maryland, the field tends to spread a little bit. It tends to fall apart a little bit, which is why you need to ride that rail. It helps a lot. So anybody who gets that idea is certainly going to be helping themselves out for turf season, as it's just around the corner.
So we could check back with you in August, September, and we'll see how they're doing.
It won't take long. I'll just see ask me late May, June.
Okay.
But so far I have no qualms. I like what I see, and again, just in my interviews afterwards with these kids, excellent attitude. So I do. That's something I do really. That's something I care about and really enjoy to see. So
good deal.
Yeah. So race number 5 is the starter optional, claiming 12.5, going a 1-turn mile on the dirt for the 4-year-olds and up. Scratch the number 1. Can't pass it up. Keith, let's talk about your value play.
Yeah.
The number 8, Spotted Bull, coming back off of an 8-day turnaround.
Yeah.
Excuse me, 6-day turnaround. Rudy Sanchez, Solomon, JVN Toledo, first in the barn.
Now, I went through this, and we do have an updated morning line. I think we're going to show this for the patrons and the gamblers. And I tell you, I was back and forth. I think the horse to beat when he runs his race would be Northern Thunder. I didn't like
Right.
how he switched leads a couple times in the stretch last out. He was called 4 wide early, but he had every right to kind of go ahead and win it mid-turn, and just was swapping leads back and forth. That bothered me a little bit.
Okay.
Assembly Point looked like he maybe tailed off a little bit. Paradise Pride's a little bit of a guess. So I know one thing. Solomon's been on a roll. And
Yes.
this horse, Spotted Bull, last time out, I mean, he just was rolling the final, eighth of a mile through the wire. So had a perfect trip off a little bit of contested pace. But they're going to protect. They're wheeling back quick. They're going to get to the front. And I'll just take a shot that this horse can carry it a ways on this little step up here into this little tougher starter from the nickel condition. So there you go. I'm just riding kind of the way the barn's going right now.
Sure.
Bahama Channel, again, we've got a live bug, I think, in Axel Concepcion. A horse, a little bit better second out. Another one, a little bit of a protect. You bring this horse back in a nickel condition, and then you go to the starter, wide, comes back, has shown tactical speed in the past. So maybe cycling back to an improving, better try. Maybe can catch like a 70 buyer. I think that's what it's going to take to win this race. I struggle back and forth. I'm just looking for prices. I will key around the 6 and the 8, and if they're not there, guess what? I lose, and I'm used to that.
Okay, well then Keith Usa goes 8-6-9-2. I go 5-1-A Northern Thunder that he talked about Bahama Channel and the number 9, of course. So
Real quick,
Yeah.
Oxide, I'm sorry. But Oxide, I think, another one. Kieran, outside post, had a kind of a funky trip last time, was kind of keen early, took back even further, then went wide and circled, turned on a little bit after shifting in. I expect a better effort for Oxide. Maybe he hasn't really been that one that kind of been so inconsistent, so he's holding a little bit of form, and I think that'll work for him in his favor in race 5 today.
there we go.
Yep.
Keith Fusel's last little thoughts on Oxide there in that wide open affair in the 5th race, and we will be right back after this commercial break for the 6th. Nope, that's fine.
Introducing the first racing tool from Pegasus to Preakness. Iconic venues. World-class racing. Millions at stake. New champions will be crowned. Only at first.
And we're back with race number 6 is claiming $10,000 for the girls, 4 years old and upward, which have never won 3 going. The 2 turns here, a mile and 16th to be exact. Keith, let's go ahead and take a look at Shaolin for Carrie Brion. Gets Javian Toledo and also gets the rail. How do you think the rail's going to work out for this one?
Well, better than what she did in New York. 'Cause
Right.
She didn't, come off terribly. It was just really wasn't.
It wasn't it. It wasn't the sauce.
Yeah, she just wasn't tied on that day and came out a little lackluster, I guess is the term, and just never got it going. This particular day, she was up with the pace. She tracked the duel 3 wide, kind of was able to go and get the lead, and she gets hooked by a couple rivals. And look how tenacious she is, from the 5/16 pole to the wire, taking all that pressure, digging in, beating Red Wine Time. It came back to run an okay number, then was a little bit flat the other day after hesitating at the break. Again, this is interesting. Ran the 22nd of January. What do you think of this? If this is right. Comes back and works the 28th, the 3rd, and the 21st. Man, I mean, she's just right on with it. I guess that's a good sign. 3 bullets in a row. I like the position from the rail here. I think she's going to get a little pace to kind of track again like she just did in that race 2 back at Laurel, because Esperanza's going to go. I think Red, White, and Tacos has got enough forward speed. Even this horse from Charlestown might go chasing. But just a patient ride from just off of it, I think, can get it done for Shaolin.
I originally had this horse in my top selection. I just switched things around this morning, but the one thing that did catch my attention, and you said it, Keith, the works immediately after that subpar run at Aqueduct. Carrie said, I'm not having any of that. Let's get you going. Let's light a fire under your tail. And that's certainly what happened. And I think that was – this horse is a quick worker anyway, but she wasn't buying anything that Shaolin was selling at Aqueduct, so she's turning this horse back around in the proper spot.
Yeah, and that track that day, it was a speed lean, and once she was just not involved early, it was tough to make up any ground. Got a couple horses, interesting, out of that race. You see him come back here to Maryland. Voice of Spring is kind of a horse that might slip away a little bit of a price with Louis Rivera. Was caught wide that day and a couple races back. So barn change, I've got this the last 2 years for Claudio. at this kind of level between 5 and 10,000. It's 3 for 10, 7 for 10 in the money with an ROI of 260. That works. I think this one will be able to kind of draft back and let that flow go. I think she could ramp up and bring a little bit better run than what she's been showing.
Okay, I like that value play underneath for Keith Fustel with the 1 and 9. What about the 8? If then for Hammy Smith, you and I both have this horse underneath. Angel Cruz gets the call. This is a horse that's just churning and burning in good form ever since that tiny little break with Hammy Smith.
Exactly. Yeah, it looks like a run you can count on from off the pace. She really got help. That race with Avondale, January the 16th, they were smoking early. That was a race, Red, White, and Tacos. That opening quarter and a half was just vicious. It took its toll. If then rallied into it, she rallies at 7. She's okay here. I think she's going to be tough to leave out of exactas, and tries. Wouldn't surprise me if she wins it. Your 5 horse was on my ticket, off my ticket. I will kind of use her underneath and exactas. But again, she's going from open nickel back to the 3 in life. I like this move, so I'm not really worried about the jump up to 10,000. Went okay internals. Second time for the barn. We'll try to stretch the speed, but I think she's going to have to deal with Red, White, and Tacos somewhere like far turn 3/8. They might get involved because Red, White, and Tacos, I think it can stay close enough to her.
And excuse me, you do have Red, White, and Tacos on your ticket, correct? Do you? No? Okay.
No, I don't. That was ended in race 5.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
yes.
but I might toss her in underneath in the exactas, but I think Shellen's going to be a shorter price.
Because I was thinking of my own ticket. I go 5 wide in this race, and I include Red, White, and Tacos underneath, just in case anything happens, because this race, as you can see, is a little bit wide of a wide-open affair as well. Race number 7 is a maiden claiming 45, going 6 furlongs on the dirt for the straight. 3-year-old Scratch the number 1, Spectrier, and Scratch the number 8, Midnight Renegade. Keith, let's talk about your top selection. Ragtime Riches, first time in the barn, for first time starter for Anthony Ferrier, brings in Arnaldo Bocachica to get this one out of the gate.
Yeah, I went back and actually even looked at that work at the sale at Timonium, the 2-year-old sale back in May, and was pretty good. Switched over leads mid-stretch and really kept doing well through the gallop out. And also, what also caught my eye was the sales price. 40,000. I look bottom side. Point of entries. Doing all right. 16% with the first-time starters. Kind of a sneaky one there with the dirt. All sibs are winners, but nobody was like kind of lighting the world on fire and a little bit of a turfy lean. So you see a lot of times those horses at sales with that turf lean that maybe not bring as much. So they like something here. I like the steady progression and works. Just might be sneaky good enough here. Obviously, the way the barn's been going and Ferrier Boca Chica combination. Take a shot. The money's going to definitely come in on the 9 and the 4.
The only thing that I had Ragtime Riches just underneath is because sometimes, and this is a move that I love that Ferrier does, is he'll do a first-time start over at Charlestown, use the bull ring, get the experience, then bring him over here, and then they end up winning by 3 lengths because they have so much of this wonderful experience and bottom on them. And sometimes when he does it here, doesn't get quite as lucky, but he's been kind of turning himself. He's been making just a right now liar out of me. 14% as of lately with that first time starter at the maiden claiming. So regardless, that's maiden claiming everywhere. Of course, 21% first time Lasix, but that's my only thing that I have against. But I will say that gate work on February 15th, that might have just given them the confidence that said, hey, we don't need Charlestown. Let's just go ahead. This one's ready to go.
Well, let's just see what kind of action she takes. Naturally, he's winning, so the money. But dealing with a first-time starter, that sometimes can be a little bit different. So I got a little hunch there. But I think the 5 and the 9 obviously are going to take the majority of the play. The 9 dialer, really good try first time out. We have a video of that race, right, on February the 10th. For maiden 30, a little bump up here. It was in front of Collect Redemption, who I think was a shorter price dropper from Tim Keefe. Another Phil Capuano firster is the one that got it done that away. But Dialer, battling on the lead, involved with the pace basically every step of the way and held on quite well. He's going to benefit off of this race. Another one, a little bit of a move up. Don't protect with the waiver, but for 45, they'll take it if you want to give it. So there you go. So Dialer, I think proven speed, proven stamina, and will stay around. I think the horse that might just have that talent is the 5 left-hand thread. What do you think?
I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
I need to see more. 4.5, going 4.5 at May. That's not convincing enough because it's not a bull ring. 4.5 at a bull ring is very different than 4.5 at a bigger track. So What's great about Salzman is with his second-time starters, he's 2 for 9 as of lately, so 4 for 5, 4 for 9 in the money with that as well. A decent work going 5 furlongs in January, and then a gate work going 5 furlongs. The setup, everything sets up very, very well here. So I like everything. On top of that, you have this one's by Army Mule, who's 27% with his second-time starters. So there's a lot going in the right direction, but I'll take the hit because I don't have him in my top selection. So I'm glad you do.
Yeah, I think I made him, the slight favorite. I think it's going to be back and forth. I was back and forth between the 5 and 9 when doing the odds.
Yes.
But comes out of a better race. Laces going on, but Pompous Prince, Riccio, Coffee with Chris was in that race. And this horse took a lot of money, just under 5 to 1, 9 to 2 here that day against that field. Was very, very willing to the wire. So, and really wasn't really super hustled early. So they think this horse, I think, might be able to move on. Got the break, given time to regroup. So I expect a big effort from the 5 left-hand thread.
For me, just a weird gut feeling that I don't really have any other black and white logic to back that up, but everything looks pretty well. I'm glad you have that one underneath. Race number 8 is an allowance going 5.5 on the dirt for the 4-year-olds and up. Let's go ahead and talk about number 4, John the Bear, who you have on top, just coming out, first effort out of the General George for Claudia Gonzalez and Toledo.
It's just a little too much of an ass last time in the General George. Made a little move, little fade with some trouble. Back, I think is a good distance for him. Showed the ability to sit just off of it. Lasix back on, which is also a help. Forwardly placed in here. If he breaks, he's going to be up with the pace. Maybe back in the woods will try to send. But I think he has a rating gear 5.5. To me, he's the horse to beat. Karen's Notion with Barbosa now really had an uncomfortable trip. Caught in between horses a long way. You see that in the comment. Just a little bit of a fade. Works for me. I think he can break good and just hold position inside and bring a finish. Steinbeck, your top selection? Yeah.
Yep.
All of a sudden, this horse has gotten really, really good. We've got video of its last race, February the 10th at Aqueduct.
And with this one, comes out okay, obviously gets out of the gate okay, gets a good position, but just looking at that trackness here, and this is what's great about horse racing, is that these horses have no idea when they're being bumped up a notch in class, and they just run, they just do their thing, and this is exactly one of those types in Steinbeck. I feel like no matter what type of field you put him in, he's going to step up to the plate, he's going to have an answer. That's what he's been doing ever since just the tiniest bit of breaks in between that, Laurel effort and Mountaineer effort as well. The Mountaineer gave him a little bit of a confidence booster, and then he comes back with some more confidence in the next 2 starts after that, including this one at Aqueduct.
Yeah, that speed to separate himself from the rest of the pack. And Chateau's a very quick horse up there, was able to kind of lay close enough. Proven field. I mean, some salty horses. 4th place finisher came back to run like a 91. If he takes that next step, sure, will be no surprise if this one was. That field certainly compares. It might not have been probably a little bit better than what he faces today. Although he's, like you say, he's jumping up. That's a step sideways maybe to me, or even a slight down comparatively.
Right. Yep. So we'll see what happens there in race number 8. Race number 9 is our nightcap of the day for the weekend here at Laurel Park in this maiden claiming 30, going 6 furlongs on the dirt for the girls 4 and 5 years old. You have we switch it around. You've got Jazz Time Girl for Mike Trombetti, gets Johan Rosado coming back for the first time in 2023. We haven't seen this one since June, of course, late June. Turf runner. Yeah. My only take is that if this horse isn't, we're going to find out, because 3 furlongs, a bullet work for 3 furlongs, sure, that's great. I'm just curious if this one is just kind of gearing up for turf season.
Yeah, could be. I mean, there's some dirt in the pedigree when I went back, but some okay works here, consistent works on the dirt. I'm just throwing a little bit of a dart here, trying to get a little bit of a price. Thunder Boss is going to be an awfully short price here in the nightcap. The blinkers coming back off, shortening up in distance. Should be one that just kind of is up near the pace and should stay the trip. I just has burned some money of late. I need to go with like a fresh face. Blue Moon Bunny, I think, might be better as a 1-run sprinter. I think that's going to be her best game. I think she can rally into it. The stranger here for me, the real stranger too, is the 5, Jinnamaya, out of Lady Sibylla, who is really good racehorses for these connections. 11 for 20, almost like 750,000. Given time to regroup, Took okay play. I know it was a 5-horse field, but in that field with Mokosko's made, might come back and show some speed here in the nightcap. 6'7", 3'5". Just a little bit of a guess here, Cal.
Fusel trying to keep things interesting,
Yep.
and for a dramatic finish here in our weekend of racing. Let's hit up that lightning round and talk about a couple of points, including most prominently, Keith Fusel's best bet and value play of the day. Keith, what do you have for our best bet?
Let's go back. Race 2, right. He's going to get it done early. Hopefully, Love is Strong. We talked about the trip last time, was not involved early. I think gets involved early today and stays around with Acosta value play. There was a couple shots that I kind of liked on today's card. My most maybe, and this one might come down off the 6-1 line just based on the way this barn's going right now.
Right, okay.
But still, that field, you can't take anything less than 7-2 or 4-1 in race number 5. Spotted Bull to the front. I hope he's looks like he did 6 days ago. Maybe that race took a little bit out of him, man. He was just rolling to the wire. Stretch out. Let's see how far he can go.
And we'll see how those value plays, because you have a couple underneath as well throughout the day.
I do. So take note of those, yes.
Take note of those. I'll highlight those as we go along throughout the day, of course. And just wanted to talk about a little bit about the leaderboard of what we got going on here. J-Ron Barbosa staying strong, just over Jamie Rodriguez and Toledo. Let's get another stake. We need another stakes day for Toledo to catch up a little bit.
Yeah, things are tightening up though a little bit, aren't they, Cal? I mean, I think that lead might have been a little bit the last time I was with you, and we had that graphic. So getting a little bit closer here. Barbosa, the lead is shrinking down to 2. Rodriguez right on his heels, and right Toledo certainly going to be there. Rodriguez riding well.
And of course, we also have those trainer standings, which tight finish as well. Jamie Ness just took over for Brittany Russell. Just one win over, but then it's a tight finish for second after 13 tied for Ferrier and Jerry Robb, and Marie Sanchez Salmon, of course, heating up and getting back on the trainer standings leaderboard. And we are going to leave that with you. We're going to head on over to Dave Rodman for some more changes and scratches.
Okay, good luck, everybody.